Welcome back, Devils fans. And although a few weeks late, Santa has come through with one of my Christmas wishes, and I am here in the new Running with the Devils studio. Thank you to Santa for this. He has impeccable taste. As you can see, we have some Marty Brodeur game-worn equipment, a little Scott Stevens game-worn helmet and gloves, some iconic moments in franchise history, signed photos by the players, a couple game-worn goalie masks, and Santa really did his thing. So I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart, Santa. However, you do owe me still a defenseman and a new goalie. I am not counting Nico Daws as a new goalie because he was already in the organization, or for my Canadian friends, the organization. Nico was here. He is not counting, so you still owe me a defenseman and a goalie, Chris Kringle. And hopefully those are on the way as well. You were a few weeks late with the studio, but better late than never. And so thank you very much. We roll on with the official Running with the Devils mid-season recap. The boys have played 41 games, exactly 50% of our season. And I'm here to do a little recap of the good, the bad, and the ugly thus far on the season at the midway point. The overarching theme of this season thus far has been obviously injuries. It's unfortunate the amount of man games we've lost to star players, and the boys are just going to have to find a way to overcome it. We've, in the past couple weeks, been able to tread water, pick up some dirty points here and there, get some unexpected wins, and hopefully they could find a way to get some bodies back and battle down the stretch in the second half of the season and make a run at the playoffs. Let's take a look at the current standings. And the Devils with 47 points, 2 points out of the second wild card spot. Tampa currently has that with 44 games played, and we're only at 41. So with 3 games in hand, then the Islanders above us with 48, the Penguins above us with 48, and the Wings are also in the first wild card with only 49 points, and Hurricanes in the third in the Metro with 53. So as you can see, the standings are super tight. Not a lot of points separating people that are going to miss the playoffs and the teams that are going to be in the top 3 in the division. It's going to be that tight. This is exactly what the league wanted, with the loser point in overtime or a shootout, to keep teams in the thick of it and in the race for as long as possible. And that's what we're seeing here. And with the parity in the league, it's going to be a dogfight down the stretch. I wouldn't be surprised by anything. Either the Devils missing the playoffs, getting the second wild card, first wild card, or even coming in first, second, or third in the division, because there's that little margin between all of these spots. For comparison's sake, let's look at where we were at the halfway point last season. And we see the boys last year had 55 points after 41 games played in the 22-23 season. And they finished with 112. So they actually finished 2 points better in the second half, getting 57 points in the second half and 55 in the first half, for a total of 112 on the season. And then you could look at the standings here from last season. That was good for second in the Metro. And if you look at last season's wild card, the Islanders got the first wild card spot with 93, and the Panthers got the second wild card with 92. So even if we performed the same as we did in this first half of the season and got another 47 points, that would give us 94 points on the year. That might be good enough to get a wild card spot. And also, then if we look back at the standings, again, when I talk about how tight it is and how every point matters, the Penguins and the Sabres both missed out on the playoffs with 91 points. One more win for either of those teams would have put them in the playoffs. And so when, it's why I'm super critical when we lose games like San Jose and Anaheim at home, because in the end, the margin is so small, and missing the playoffs by a couple points like those teams did last year would be super painful when we're leaving points on the table against some inferior clubs that we should clearly be beating. So that's why I just get very upset sometimes with the horrible losses that should have never happened. Now let's take a look. Let's take a look at the individual stats on the season. Jesper Bratt playing every game, 16 goals and 30 assists for 46 points, leading the club. Jack Hughes at this point has missed 9 games, and in the 32 games he played, he had 15 goals, 30 assists, 45 points. The unfortunate thing about Jack is he started off the year red hot, and he was everyone's, and again, this was only for a short period of time, but this is how the news cycle moves in the 24/7 internet age. There was articles coming out about how Jack Hughes is the Hart Trophy favorite as the league MVP early on in the season. At one point, I believe he was averaging over 2 points a game, and obviously not sustainable for a whole season, but when you play, a few weeks worth of games and you're averaging 2 points or a little above 2 points a game on average, those are stellar, out of this world numbers. And that's the pace Jack Hughes was on. And unfortunately, he's been injury riddled this season, missing time on 2 separate occasions. And now, obviously, he's not going to be a Hart Trophy candidate, barring some crazy tear that he goes on. But he's just going to miss too many games to really be in that conversation. Then we go back to the stats. Tyler Toffoli playing all 41 games, 16 goals and 13 assists for 29 points. Lukehughes playing all 41 games, 7 goals, 16 assists for 23 points. Nicohischier missing some time in the 30 games he's played. He has 11 and 11 for 22. Erik Haula, another great season for Erik Haula. He's missed 5 games. In the 36 games he played, he has 10 goals, 12 assists for 22 points. Dawson Mercer started off a little cold. He's played every game, 13 goals, 8 assists for 21 points. Alexander Holtz with a little bit of a resurgence, playing all 41 for 10 goals, 10 assists, 20 points. And Motor Mike McLeod might be the story on the season. I love Motor Mike, and he is just such an underappreciated asset on this club. Motor Mike with 10 goals and 9 assists for 19 points. Dougie Hamilton played 20 games before. He's likely missing the rest of the season. Timo Meyer's been injury bogged entirely. In the 28 games he's played, he has 9 goals, 6 assists for 15 points. And then Palat's also been injured. 35 games played, 5 goals, 9 assists, 14 points. And then you can see the rest of the guys over here. The bottom scoring guys, you could just take a glance. I'm not going to go line by line on them. But one of the strengths of this New Jersey Devils club, as everyone knew coming into the season, is our incredible forward depth. We have so many forwards that are capable of beating teams and scoring goals. And we look here, we have 8 guys currently with 10 or more goals. To have 8 10-goal scorers, all of them on pace for 20 goals or more at this juncture, halfway through the season, to have 8 guys in double-digit goals at the halfway mark is a testament to the depth and the well-balanced attack that this New Jersey Devils club has because of the riches we have at forward. And if it wasn't for injury, Timo Meier had 9 goals. So if he wasn't injured for as many games as he was, he'd be the 9th guy in double-digit goals at the halfway point. And now we look at quite possibly the ugliest portion of our season. And let's take a look at the goaltending numbers. And folks, there we see Vitek Vanacek in 25 games played. He has 14 wins, miraculously, because of our offense, with a goals against of 3.31 and a save percentage of .882. I couldn't be more disappointed with Vitek Vanacek. I've talked about this at length. Not going to talk about it anymore. Just a very disappointing season for Vitek, and it seems like the wheels have fallen off, and he's completely just crumbled this year for whatever reason. I don't know if it's the increased workload. It could be mental. I don't know. He's shown flashes of greatness at points of last season, and once in a while this season he'll make a great save. But a lot of the times I think he's just getting lucky, honestly, and the puck's just finding him. I don't know, but constantly out of position, swimming around. Just seems like disorientation more often than not, and I think the Vanacek experiment needs to come to an end soon. We've talked about that a ton. And then Akira Schmid, the playoff hero of last year. I love Akira Schmid. I've made tons of videos about him. I've sung his praises. He's having a rough season as well. Currently down with the AHL club in Utica, and on his season in the NHL this year, he had 15 games played, only mustering 5 wins, with the goals against only slightly better than Vitek's at 3.26, and only a slightly better save percentage with .893. And with this level of goaltending, as we all know, it's going to be hard to win games. That's a lot of goals against. That is well below NHL average goaltending, and in fact, it's amongst the worst NHL goaltending, and it's going to be hard to go anywhere with that kind of, with those kind of stats. When you're getting that type of play from your goalies, your offense can only do so much. I mean, we've bailed out Vitek plenty of times and had to score 5 and 6 goals to win, but you just can't do that every single night. And sometimes you're going to have to play tight games and win those, 3-2, 2-1 type games. And if your goaltending is amongst the worst in the league, it's going to be hard to hold the opposition to 1 or 2 goals on most nights because your goalies are just not getting it done for you. And then we look at one of the silver linings thus far on the season. Young Nico Daws called up, and in his 5 games played, he has 3 wins with a goals against of 2.63 and a save percentage of .922. His numbers are more than a half a goal per game better than both Vitek Vanacek and Akira Schmid, and his save percentage is a good chunk better as well. I believe that, again, he could be the guy. I am not completely sold yet, but in his last few starts, he has looked absolutely amazing. We got that gutsy win in Florida, and then he kept the Devils in the game in Boston, which we could have easily been skunked like 5-0 halfway through the game. He made a couple of crazy saves, and he held the fort down, and unfortunately he got no goal support or anything from the team on that night, but the loss was 100% not on his shoulders, and he deserved better in that outing. But I do believe he did enough for me to see him get the lion's share of the starts going forward in the near future. I would ultimately like to see a veteran brought in and see a tandem of said veteran goalie with Daws, and if it's only a few-year bridge-type goalie, that Daws can be mentored by whatever starter we bring in for a couple of years, get his 30, 35 starts, whatever it is, for a few years, while the other goalie plays a little bit more games, and then the reins get passed to Daws. I think that'd be a great succession plan, but maybe we don't do anything, and Fitz is just going to kind of stand pat and see where we are with Daws. I wouldn't mind that. As insurance would obviously prefer to go into the playoffs with a veteran goalie who's been there before with more experience. But if we're not going to be active in the trade market and we're not going to bring an outside goalie, then give Daws the net, baby. Let's see what this kid has, but let's not jerk him around like we did with Akira Schmid with the alternating every other and then sending him down. And then, I just want to see Daws play, 6 of the next 8 games, 7 of the next 9, something of that nature. The rest of this calendar month of January, we only have 1 back-to-back with Dallas and Columbus, and I'll accept a Vanacek start for one of those 2 games. But outside of that, I want to see Daws. I want to see January be the month of Daws. I want to see what Nico Daws has for the rest of the month. Let's really ride him, really lean on him, and see where he's at. He's looked incredible as of late, and maybe he could be the guy. If Fitz doesn't want to make a move, then let's give this kid a true audition to see what he has, and maybe he'll prove himself to be the guy. I don't know, but I know that Vanacek is not the guy, so I'd like to see a lot of Nico Daws for the duration of January so we could properly assess what we have here, and maybe that'll make Fitz less likely to feel pressure to go bring in a goalie from the outside. If Daws keeps playing the way he did, if he could consistently play the way he's played against Florida and Boston, then he's the friggin' guy. He stood on his head. 30-something saves both games, looked great, made tons of tough saves that weren't all just like outside perimeter shots right at him with no traffic. A lot of tough saves, in tight, dangerous chances, and he's played well. If he can consistently play like that, then I would have no qualms with saying he is the guy for the future. But let's just see if he can consistently do it, because Akira Schmid has shown flashes of brilliance and stretches of games where he looked like he was going to be the guy. And then when it came to this season, for whatever reason, he just couldn't get it done. And now he's kind of in this limbo in Utica, maybe waiting to get his chance to come back up. I'd said in a previous video, I wouldn't mind getting rid of Vanacek immediately and rolling with a Daws-Schmid tandem if we don't bring in an outside goalie. But time will tell where the goalie carousel is going to land with us. But for now, Daws is the hot hand. Let's see what this kid can do. I have faith in him, and I think he really could be a great goalie for us for years to come. With all of that goaltender talk being said, if before the season started, someone had told me that Jackhughes was going to be injured for some amount of time, Timo Meier was going to be injured for some amount of time, Dougie Hamilton was going to be likely out for the season after 20 games, that Eric Hall was going to be injured for a handful of games, that Siegenthaler was going to be out for an extended period of time, Palat, and so on and so forth. If someone showed me a list of all the players that have been injured and the amount of games they missed at this juncture, halfway through the season, and then showed me the goaltending stats that we just went over, if you had showed me both of those things side by side and said, where do you think you'll be at the halfway point of the season? I would say we are possibly in the race for a lottery pick because the team has to be doing absolutely dog shit with all these guys missing all these games and those goaltending numbers on top of it. The miraculous part is 47 points halfway through the season is not bad at all considering the adversity that we've had to go through. We've had tons of guys injured, in and out of the lineup, icing AHL guys. That's why I call it the team the New Utica Devils, because we're playing half an AHL lineup. So all those injuries combined with absolutely atrocious goaltending for half of a season, and we're right in the thick of it. That, to me, is the bright side of everything that's happened so far, is that, like I said, if I had seen all the injuries and the goaltending stats, I would say we're so far out of the race, we might be in the running for a lottery pick, for a lottery draft pick. And we are right in the thick of it. 47 points. We're on pace for a 94-point season, which, if last year's standings kind of carry over to this year, we would be right in the wild card race and actually in a wild card spot. Now, with that being said, if we start getting some of these players back for the second half, and Nico Daws or someone else even gives us average NHL goaltending, I'm not talking about lights out goaltending, just average goaltending with all these guys coming back, we should be well into the playoffs. And I believe we could go on a little run. And so I don't have I guess I will make an official prediction. We had 47 points in the first half of the season. It seems like Nico Daws will be getting some more playing time, and if he doesn't show something kind of quickly, I think Fitz will make a move to bring someone in, and he might anyway. But I'm going to say in the second half of the year, the Devils get 53 points and finish the season at a flat 100 points. And I'm going to say that puts us in either the top wild card spot or third in the division. That's my official prediction. Kill me for it if you want. I'm going to go Devils. First half, we had 47 points. We're going to have guys coming back off of injuries with better goaltending. I'm going to say we get 53 points in the second half of the year. We finish with an even 100, and we either have the top wild card spot or we finish third in the division. I obviously would love to be wrong enough for us to have 60-something points in the second half of the season and win the division. That'd be great. But I think 53 points is a realistic expectation with guys coming back, with better goaltending. And, once we're in the dance, baby, anything could happen. Nobody thought the 1995 New Jersey Devils were going to do what they did. And they went on to win the Stanley Cup, beating the mighty Detroit Red Wings in the finals. No one picked us. Everyone thought we were going to get swept. And we, in fact, swept them. And then also in 2003, the Devils weren't like a heavy favorite team to win the Cup. I mean, obviously, everyone knew they were good at that point. Marty already had 2 Cups with Stevens and Niedermeyer and Dano and the nucleus we had there. But people weren't just saying, oh, this is the Devils' Cup to lose. And that was a very well-rounded team. And they went on to win the Cup as well. So I think once you're in the playoffs, anything could happen. All it takes is a couple lines to get hot, a goalie to get hot, and you could win the whole damn thing. Obviously, again, this is not a we're going to win the Cup prediction, but I'm not ruling it out. Also on the season, as far as things to cling hope to or to be proud of, the emergence of Nico Daws, I think, is one for sure. And Lukehughes is a dynamic player. He is the player that we all thought we were getting. He's shown his offensive prowess. He's made crazy plays, timely goals, and he shows his skill very often. Especially when he's playing with Jack, the chemistry between them is phenomenal. Absolutely lethal pairing, and especially in the overtime. Watching the Hughes brothers in overtime is just wow. It's just theater. With the 3-on-3, with all that open ice for the Hughes brothers, it should be illegal. They really are something to see. Obviously, Luke has a lot to learn and work on as far as his defensive game and in our own end is concerned. He has made some costly turnovers and bad decisions with the puck and blah, blah, blah. But again, he's only a 20-year-old kid. That's all going to come with time and experience. And he will become a much better defenseman at some point in his career. but we are seeing the dynamic upside of his offensive talents right now, and it's phenomenal to watch. His skating is great, his vision is great, his wrist shot is great, his passing is great. He just is, very high hockey IQ and just a great player. All the Hughes boys seem to fit that mold. They've been doing this their whole life, and when you see Luke out there, you're like, this kid is a great player. And like I said, he's going to work on the defensive stuff and not become such a liability in time. Only a 20-year-old kid. Absolutely phenomenal. Going to be here for a long time. It's very exciting to have him with the organization. The other unexpected kind of surprise was Simonnemec. This kid, I thought, after preseason, I thought he was going to make the team out of preseason. He did not make the team and had to get called up due to injuries. And Simonnemec, honestly, is a monster. If we have some time, look up the advanced stats on him. He is just having a great year. Again, brings a very skilled offensive game, and he's a good amount better defensively than Luke, honestly. Doesn't get caught as much or make as bad decisions. Simonnemec is going to be an absolute force on the blue line for this team for years to come as well. And with Luke and Nemec, it's honest, we have two of the best defenseman prospects in the entire league. They're kids. They're young. Our nucleus is young. It's an exciting time to be a New Jersey Devils fan. I couldn't be more thrilled to have these kids here. And now we just got to figure out a couple other little pieces and see where we go. But Nemec, thrust into the big club due to injury, has performed well, and now he's not going anywhere. He's earned his spot on this roster, and no matter what, now Simonnemec is an NHL player for our New Jersey Devils, and he wanted to make it out of training camp. It didn't work out. He had to go play in the A for a little bit, but he's here now, and he's not going anywhere. And if you're a GM for another team calling fits and trying to get Nemec in a trade, we're hanging up on you. Not available, not available, not available. Phenomenal defenseman. Let me know what you guys thought about the season thus far in the comments. Let me know, what are you surprised by? What are you disappointed by? What are you looking forward to? Love talking to all of you guys in the comments. And I'm excited for the second half, guys. We got to start getting some of these bodies back and get rocking and rolling. New Jersey Devils hockey. New Jersey Devils hockey. Stadium Series coming up. That should be exciting and cold. And, yeah. I think that's all I got for you guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils.